Today we're going to continue our deep dive analysis for the NHL team's upcoming expansion draft. So today we're analyzing the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Minnesota Wild, and the Boston Bruins. Who will they protect? Who are they most at risk to lose? And will they work out any side deals with Seattle? We'll discuss all that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, today we're continuing on with our deep dive analysis here for the upcoming Seattle Kraken expansion draft. We're looking at three more teams today, which are Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Boston. So we're going to go through their cap space and what kind of contracts they have expiring here, just so we get an idea what strategies they might employ for the expansion draft and who they might be protecting and losing, etc. So we're now going to hop onto the computer. We're going to go into the capfriendly.com Seattle expansion mock draft simulator tool that they have, which is a great thing if you want to play around with it. I highly recommend it. All kinds of fun to see who this Kraken might end up taking. And then we're going to go through these teams and give you my thoughts as we go through each one. All right, so let's get started here with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, as we can see, they're pretty tight on cap space. They've only got just over $1 million now. They don't have too many players that they have to worry about here for contracts, but there are some. They have defenseman Cody Ceci. He actually had a decent year for them. I could see them being interested, maybe bringing him back. Then they do have some guys here, but not a lot of these players are really super important. Like, I can see them making an effort to get Aston Reese back, but as far as the other ones, I can take it or leave it. Like Jankowski probably won't get a qualifying offer. Seaver Rodriguez could walk. But still, they're going to lose a player to Seattle, which is why we're talking about this in this video, which will give them some cap space and give them some options here. But they have some different situations going on here. So let's jump over to the expansion draft simulator and take a look at their list here. So clearly I expect them to make some changes in goal, but they're not going to do this beforehand. Tristan Jarry's going to be the goalie they protect. I think he has more value than Casey DeSmith. He's younger, making more money. And even though he didn't do great as a starter this year, especially come playoff time, but I think, he's worth keeping around for possibly a trade. So we'll see what they do. But to me, you protect Jarry. On the blue line, you're definitely protecting Letang because he has a no-move clause. Matheson and Dumoulin are likely your next two. I mean, you have some guys that are, could be attractive here to Seattle. Like maybe a Marcus Pettersson might be, I think, what they might try to push Seattle to take if they can. They might have to sweeten that because he does have, a fair bit of time on his contract, making $4 million until 2025. But he would be the main defenseman that they'd have exposed here, along with Chad Rubido. Now on the forward group is where things get really interesting now. So you get Malkin and Crosby. They get no moves. You're protecting them anyways. No doubt about that. But right now I have protected Gensel, Rust, Tanev, Kapanen, and Carter. Now that exposes Zucker. That exposes McCann and the newly signed Teddy Bluger. And of course you get Aston Reese as an RFA in that category there as well. Now that could pose an issue. Now, is that what they're going to do? Or would they expose Carter? To me, it's just they gave up assets to get him. He's only under contract for one more year, but he was such a good fit there. Would they actually expose him to Seattle? I could see Seattle taking him if it's a real possibility, especially given the salary retention. Like this cap hit's not that bad anymore. Like they're only counting $2.6 million worth of cap for Carter here. So, like a guy like Jared McCann might be more attractive. It might be Zucker. I'm not sure. But they're going to have a decent forward here go. And it just depends on how Seattle looks at it. Or, like I said, they have Marcus Pettersson on the blue line. There's Casey DeSmith between the pipes. I don't see them taking DeSmith. I think there's going to be enough other goalies that are probably going to be valued higher. They would go in a different direction. So I don't know exactly who they take here, but the odds are, unless they make a deal to lose Pettersson and give up something additional, that it's, they're going to lose a forward. And it's probably not going to be Zucker. That contract's be the least desirable of all the ones here I have opened up. If it were me, I'd probably take Jared McCann. But if you want to protect McCann and expose Carter, that changes things. I mean, that might be the way they go here. Obviously, like I said, McCann's a lot younger. But just Carter was such a good fit. I'm kind of torn on how I think they're going to handle this situation. So I'm not completely sold here. But then you get the newly signed Teddy Bluger. Like you just signed him to 2 years at $2.2 million. Do you want to lose him? Like maybe they signed him as an enticer. They'd rather lose Bluger maybe than McCann or the other guys. I don't know what they do, but it's probably going to be a pretty good forward here going for Pittsburgh. Now, before we jump on to the next team, I do need to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Exter Smart Wallet. Hockey's proud to be sponsored by Exter. Forbes calls Exter the most successful smart wallet brand in the world. They certainly have high quality products, high grade leather. You can put all your cards in your wallet with RFID protection, and you can track it worldwide. That's the best part. You don't have to worry about losing your wallet and not being able to track it down. They have a great selection of products to choose from here, a variety of colors and styles, something to surely help for everyone. As you can see in the demonstration here for the product I have, this is a beautiful packaging, high quality. When you open it up, you get a high quality wallet with lots of slots for your cards. You have yourself a money clip if you want to carry cash on you here as well. And certainly, as you can see, the quality is outstanding. And here you can see the switch where you can help open up your cards. You just one little click and boom, everything fans out right in front of you. Easy to access. Your cards are protected. And here's the back where you have yet another slot. A terrific overall product, and I can't recommend these enough. Extra ships worldwide, and you can check out the link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment to buy yours today. Much for watching that promotional video. I greatly appreciate it. Let's jump back into today's content. All right, so next up we've got the Boston Bruins. Now the Bruins are showing us having a ton of cap space, but that's because they have a lot of contracts that just expired. They have $26.1 million in space available, but they have questions in goal. I'm not going to really have any questions for expansion draft purposes, but they have to bring another goalie in. Obviously, they just signed Brandon Carlo. That's a pretty good contract, longer term. And they have a couple of UFAs like Mike Riley, Jared Tenorti, who I think they'd have interest in re-signing. The forward group is largely intact, but then you have some question marks like Hall and Krejci, as well as Nick Ritchie. Guys like that, which very well likely going to be signed. But how much are they going to get paid and how it's all going to work out, it's difficult to say. So let's jump over here to the expansion draft simulator and see how things could work out. Goaltending is going to be easy because Rask and Halak are both UFAs. There's no point in protecting them. Rask isn't going to go anywhere. He's only going to play for Boston. You don't have to worry about that. So you have Danny Vladar, who's eligible to be exposed. You protect him. Jeremy Swayman's exempt from this, so you don't have to worry about that. On the blue line, you have McAvoy, Carlo, and Grzelcyk likely being your three guys. Now, you got Mike Riley, who's a UFA. You have John Moore there. I don't see them taking John Moore. I mean, he was under contract at 2.75 for another couple of years. You had Connor Clifton, Jeremy Lauzon, Jacob Zboril. Like, there are some younger options here that they could consider. But to me, those are the three guys you take. And I'm not sure there's a ton of interesting guys there. I mean, maybe they go for a guy like Clifton or Lauzon. But let's look at the forward group and make that determination here. Obviously, Krejci's going to be left open because he's unsigned. But Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand, and Coyle, 100% will be protected. Coyle, Marchand, and Bergeron have to be because of the no move. And there's been no word or any mention about anybody being asked to waive. You got Jake DeBrusk. To me, he's going to be protected because they're not going to lose him for nothing. They would trade him possibly, but not going in expansion. Craig Smith's another good player for them, as well as RFA and Nick Ritchie's how I have this right now. But it could be Trent Frederick. I wouldn't be completely shocked here if they exposed Ritchie and protected Frederick instead. And you also have Curtis Lazar. Now, I really like Lazar. I think he's been a good fit and, would be a good fourth line center for them. But we'll see. Now, you also got Chris Wagner in there, another possibility. You got Carson Kuhlman. So there's certainly some decent options here for Seattle. So I do think Boston is probably likely to lose a forward, more than likely, unless they like one of these young defensemen. But when you're exposing guys like Nick Ritchie and Curtis Lazar, I think to me that's probably more likely than a guy like Clifton or Lauzon or Zboril. But that's me. Either way, the good news here is they're not going to lose anything too substantial, but they could lose something decent either from the middle or bottom six. Like if they do expose Nick Ritchie, that's going to be a bit of a loss for them. I mean, there is word that he could be on the trade block anyway. So we'll see. But they also just signed Trent Frederick too. So to me, I wouldn't be shocked if they protect Frederick over Ritchie, but one of those forwards are likely who Boston loses here in this expansion draft. And that takes us to the Minnesota Wild, who's been a very interesting team to watch here over the past couple of days. Of course, their situation is very, very different now than we last looked at this. They now have $26.2 million in cap space after buying up Parise and Suter. Of course, that changes their whole dynamic here in the blue line. Out of that money, though, they do have to sign Kaprizov. They have to sign Fiala. You got some UFAs like Benino and Johansson that either have to be signed or replaced. You get Ian Cole in the blue line. Wouldn't be shocked if they brought him back. They have some players to sign here, so that money's going to get eaten up quickly once they start getting into all that. They've been rumored to be involved in trade talks with guys like Eichel and so on. So we'll see what they do here. But jumping over to the draft simulator, let's see who they have to protect here. Now, goaltending, unfortunately for them, is going to be problematic because they don't want to lose the young goalie in Kaapo Kähkönen. So to do that, they have to expose Cam Talbot. And I don't see them going the other way here because there's a 10-year gap in their ages. Talbot played really well for them, but you just can't take that chance, right? On the blue line, it was Suter, Spurgeon, and Brodin before. Dumba was the guy that either be traded or exposed, and now that's changed. Suter's gone. So Spurgeon, Dumba, and Brodin are your guys you're going to protect. Carson Soucy is the guy you're going to expose. That's under contract and meet your exposure requirement. At the forward group, you've got Zuccarello with a no move. You have to protect him. Otherwise, they likely would leave it open. I wonder if they'll ask him to waive. I mean, I haven't heard anything about that as of yet, but you never know. We'll see what happens here. Now, you do also have Fiala, Foligno, Greenway, Hartman, Eriksson Ek. They just signed Nick Bukestad. Now, it does actually have Johansson being protected on here. Let's change that. But yet, maybe they'll protect Nico Sturm here. He might be the other option here to do that, but there's no point in protecting UFA, Marcus Johansson. So, obviously, that kind of doesn't give us too many good options in the forward group. If you look here, the Wild are not in a bad spot because of the expiring contracts. They'll expose Victor Rask, probably Nick Bukestad, who they just signed on a 1-year deal. But to me, that's not, a huge issue. I mean, Bukestad's only going to be a depth center for them. Clearly, goaltending is the problem in Minnesota. Pretty much a given to me as the guy that the Seattle Kraken are going to take. And that's going to hurt Minnesota. They're going to have to go shopping for a goaltender, but at least they get their $3.6 million in cap space back. They can look at the other guys on the market and see here what they can figure out. But that's likely what's going down for the Wild. Matt Dumba was the big item before. That's certainly changed things. And now things switch to Cam Talbot. So that is my analysis on those 3 NHL teams. Well, of course, I want to know what your thoughts are as well. So let me know who you think they'll protect and expose as well down in the comments, and who might be selected by Seattle on these 3 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.